What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Miltrick Media. I'm your host, Miltrick, and I'm here with UK pop songwriter Scott Magnus. Scott, how's it going? Thank you for being here.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I've been watching the show for a while, and it's great to actually be here. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here. Thank you for checking out the other episodes. We met on Instagram, I believe, probably from either Explore or maybe from, I'm not sure if it was like a separate blog, but it was on Instagram. I first discovered your page, I believe, and your music. I think maybe that was when you released The Phoenix. I think that was the first song I heard from you.
Yeah. So yeah. Around summer last year. Yeah, but I remember seeing some of your releases back then and really digging what you was doing. And I was also really enjoying some of your going behind the scenes and how your production. I found that quite interesting, and that's kind of first got interested in you. And I've seen the show, and I've been watching the episodes, and I found it really interesting, especially the fact you've got a diverse range of artists, comedians, and yeah, I found it quite interesting. So I really dig what you're doing. I wish you the best with it.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it. Yeah. That's the plan. I just love talking to a diverse group of people, artists and creatives of all kinds, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just having a lot of fun with it. But yeah, it probably was summer of 2021. Yeah, I believe I saw when you were releasing music, and then yeah, we connected on IG through that. And it's amazing how social media can connect people from different continents and everything. How it wasn't even like that 20 years ago, right? It's so insane.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's been one of the things that I never, when I fully gotten into my music career, one of the absolute perks. I've got friends in the US, but like all over Europe, in India, and just making connections you'd never normally make, and really finding that we have a lot in common, despite there are certain differences with our cultures, but there are definitely a lot of common ground that we can find.
Yeah, 100%. So in 2021, mistake me if I'm wrong, but that was the first year you began releasing your own original music, correct?
Absolutely. I've been writing songs for years, but I actually only decided start of 2020. Well, as for quite a few people, I think, but like at the start of the pandemic, I think I know what I want to do. This is absolutely what I need to do as a career. It's what I need to do with my life. And I just went hell for leather. And yeah, and I was working more and more on my craft during 2020, and then 2021, I went hell for leather and released my songs.
Yeah, that was the same with me. Once the pandemic hit, that's when I first released my first solo song, and that's when I realized I need to go full forward with this, because especially when that happened, it's like you need to move forward. Like anything could happen in life, and this is what I want to do with my career. I was same page. Like, yeah, that's when it really started for me too, when I maybe wanted to start a podcast again, stuff like that. Yeah, so it's insane. So, but 2021, you've had a wildly successful year. Spotify alone, you racked up over 90,000 streams, I saw. That's amazing. Congratulations. So
yeah, man.
2021 being the first year you officially released original music, what inspired you to start creating and releasing music? When did it all begin?
As in deciding sort of, to release the music that I kind of
deciding to become a musician and become an artist. Yeah, when did it all begin for you?
It was at the start of 2020, and that whole year was more of a process of songwriting and learning covers and just working on my skills. And I could have carried on doing. I feel like I've just frozen on my screen, or maybe not on your screen, but you're now a little statue. But that's okay.
Oh, I got you. Right now, you look good.
I'm just imagining I'm on radio speaking to you.
Nah, you're good. You're good. Right now, no, you didn't. Nothing froze on this. I still see you.
Well, as long as it's not frozen on that side, that's fabulous. Anyway, so yeah, maybe I could have carried on just working on my skills, building my IG by doing covers. But I decided to instead, go to the studio and get my songs recorded professionally. I kind of produced somewhat to them, and what my approach is, I kind of produce so far. I make demos, and then I'll work with a producer just to take it to that next level.
Yeah, and I saw the producer you've worked with on some of your past releases was a UK producer, Justin Tingey. Is that his name, or TNG?
Jack Tingey. Yeah,
Jack Tingey.
Yeah, I think he goes by the artist name Tingey. It's his last name. And that's been a fabulous collaboration. We've really hit it off.
Yeah, that looks awesome. I was seeing his page as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is that he predominantly works with. I mean, he works with a diverse range of artists, but he works with predominantly, I'd say, hip hop artists. But I think what kind of sets him apart from a lot of hip hop producers is that, you know, in his studio he has the facilities for you to, you know, do what I do, which is record guitars and what have you. And we have we bounce a lot of ideas off each other in terms of the production and everything. And he's got a really open mind in terms of music, and I'm able to sort of draw from so many different influences and communicate that to him. And his kind of skill of production is superior to mine, and he can realize it.
Yeah, and I was seeing the content that you've posted over the past few months. Like, you were in his studio, and yeah, the space looks awesome. That's awesome that you've been working there, and that's where you've been getting a lot of the ideas out, and you're able to get as much out as possible. That's amazing. Yeah, and even with your music, I've noticed in your recent releases, yeah, you have a wide range of influences, which is cool. You have,
thank you,
indie rock and pop in your music. You also have some like hyper pop or trap influences. So let's talk about your hybrid style of music. Why do you create that kind of music? What inspired that?
For sure. Well, really, I mean, when I come to write a song, I don't really terms of limit myself in what influence I will draw from or what sound I'll go for. It'll be whatever I think the feeling or whatever the song requires. Oh, you're back. You're moving a bit more now. You're frozen before.
I'm no longer a statue? Okay, perfect.
Actually, no,
perfect.
You're a statue again, but it's okay. It's okay.
It's all good.
So anyway, what was I saying? So yeah, I'll draw from whatever I want, and that just so happens the things that I like, maybe on the more acoustic side of things in terms of like live instruments, indie music or rock music, but then also, you know, I love hip hop and I love like hyper pop, and I just want to bring those things together. I think quite a fair few artists near me are great at like doing the live music instrument, but I just want to do something a bit different. And I'm not the usual sort of musician that perhaps goes to Tingey, and I wanted to just make that sound happen. I think it hopefully is giving me quite a distinct sound. And there are artists that obviously do draw from these kind of diverse sounds. There's an artist that I really like at the moment called Jerich Johnson. He's doing something where he's combining rock and pop and trap in a really cool way, and I kind of want to be in his vein, really.
Yeah, that's awesome. And especially now in 2022, because we grew up with the access to so much music. Yeah, it's broken down the barriers of genre where you have and can create music with so many influences. And I love that. That's awesome. Yeah, it's really cool. And so, yeah, let's talk about growing up in the UK. So were you born and raised in the United Kingdom?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah. In Oldham, which is kind of part of the borough of Manchester. You've probably heard of Manchester.
Yeah, Manchester.
That's right. So it's that's in the north of England. And yeah, I mean, some people like to be down about where they're from and kind of call living in England, but I'm quite grateful to live in England, and certainly Manchester. I think it's a great city to have lived. I think I've just got the best of both worlds here because I'm quite near the countryside, and yet there's still the metropolitan life of like there's plenty of great bars and really great for live music as well. And especially now, there's so many musicians I can interact with. I've had a great time growing up in England, and we have a rich musical, theatrical, artistic history, and I'm grateful to have that access to that, really.
Yeah, and like I was saying off air before the episode started, like I would love to go to the United Kingdom and London. That's a place I've always wanted to visit. It's on top of my bucket list. Hopefully, maybe I can make it out this year or sometime soon. But that's amazing. You can. Yeah.
What would be your top thing to do in London? Is it seeing the sights, or is it going to a certain
seeing the
show
sights. Seeing the sights? I'm open to whatever because I don't have a blueprint exactly because I've never been. So seeing the sights, just getting a feel for the city, being there for a few days, exploring, just taking it all in. You know, that would be it. You know, But so you grew up basically. So Oldham is like a borough of Manchester, and that's
No,
really cool.
yeah, it's a little town within Manchester.
Gotcha.
And yeah, it's but yeah, Manchester's the city that everyone kind of knows, obviously, from Manchester United, but also it's quite famous with regards to music. I mean, they kind of broke America, but not fully. Oasis is probably one of the biggest bands from Manchester.
Yeah.
Do you know Oasis?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even know
I
they
think
were
it's
from
kind of,
Manchester. Cool. I didn't know that.
yeah, they're from Manchester. I mean, I actually have perhaps more of a Lancastrian accent than they do, because they speak proper Manc talk, you know, go down money for a burger and like mad for it, mate. And they talk a bit like that. But also another band you might have heard of from Manchester, the Smiths. You heard of the Smiths?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I know Oasis and the Smiths. They were from the UK. I just wasn't sure specifically where. But that's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I'm quite yes, it's I mean, obviously New York. I mean, you'd be here all day for trying to count all the artists that have come out of there and all the creatives.
Yeah.
But it's obviously much smaller Manchester than New York.
No, but yeah, it doesn't matter. But so growing up, what were your biggest musical influences growing up?
For sure. So I mean, I've been writing songs for quite a while now, and in the early days, it was around indie was really really big when I was kind of in my teenage years. So bands like Arctic Monkeys, and there was a kind of pop indie band called the Kooks, and they had bands like Kasabian and the Fratellis, Franz Ferdinand, and then you had bands who were part of this in New York, right? You had the Strokes. They were in India. They actually inspired Arctic Monkeys. So my music was kind of, I suppose, along those lines. That was a lot of what I was listening to. I was also really into Kings of Leon. It's a bit of a normie band, but I liked him. I like Kings of Leon.
Arctic Monkeys was a huge influence to me as well.
Really? That's cool.
Yeah, they are. Arctic Monkeys was a huge influence to me as well. I was in a band in high school, and we were called the Riot Van. It was inspired by the track.
Oh, nice.
We were inspired by the song of their debut, Riot Van. They were a big influence.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, the Strokes are a big influence to me as well. I know the Fratellis, like Chelsea Dagger. I've heard of the Kooks. I remember hearing them. I only know a couple of songs, but I remember hearing them because they were. I forgot the song that broke, but I've heard of them first on Alt Nation.
Probably.
Maybe, yeah.
Knows. Yeah. Well, it sounds like
awesome.
You're definitely on the same page. I mean, I suppose I wasn't aware of how much these bands had travelled, you know? Because it is infamously hard for UK bands to break America. I mean, they did it, in the 60s with the British invasion. They've never quite done it on that same level since, you know?
I remember because I was in high school, especially, like, the Arctic Monkeys, I felt in America, like, they broke huge after AM. Like, after that record, after that album came out, because I remember learning, like, their debut record was the fastest selling debut record in, or at least their debut record went #1 in the UK. Like, when they first started out, they were like 19, and that was inspiring to me. I didn't even know that, and then once I learned that, I was like, that's amazing. But after AM came out, I felt they got big in America. Like, after 2013, 14, they blew up even more here. And I remember like, my friends knew more about them.
They released. That's probably the 5th album, you know. So
Do I Want to Know? That song,
it's that track. No, it's a great album, and that was huge here as well. Like, that sold so many records. No, it's a great album because they kind of mixed the whole R&B and rock and a little bit hip hop as well, didn't they?
Yeah,
old school hip hop, and I think that really struck a chord.
Yeah, that did. It really struck a chord. It was really fascinating to see. But yeah, like we're on the same page with some of the influences. Yeah, that's awesome. I grew up like the White Stripes also influenced me a lot, but even like bands like Green Day, Korn, and Slipknot, that was big for me as well. And then like the Stones, the Who, the Beatles, that's huge for me as well. Stuff like that, yeah.
For sure. Well, I'd actually say that I mean, these are really great influences around that time that I was growing. But I'd say they were one of the influences as I was growing up. I think as I've gotten older, I think my taste has diversified. But
yeah, me too.
But for sure, it was a great time for music.
Yeah, 100%. So that's cool. So at what age did you realize you wanted to start writing songs? Did you know when you were a kid, I may always start writing music?
Yeah, I mean, I was just kind of obsessed with it, really. I mean, from the age, I started learning guitar about the age 11, but I was kind of obsessed writing songs from the age of 15. And I mean, my phone was absolutely loaded with voice recordings, and going to my mum's bedroom, mum just probably pestering, like, listen to this song, and just sit at the end of the bed, and I was just obsessed with it. So it's pretty young age.
Yeah. So the first record you released, your debut single was The Phoenix, right?
No, it's actually called Diamond in the Rough. The Phoenix is the second one, so nearly.
The second one, okay. So let's talk about first Diamond in the Rough. What inspired the lyrics for that song and the overall production?
The lyrics, it was kind of a feeling that I'd kind of been nagging on me. I mean, it's quite personal. It's kind of the feeling of, like, I don't know, shame and also, like, shame for kind of an embarrassing situation that had happened, and like quite a while ago, but it had stuck with me, and I maybe hadn't addressed it. And also, it was coming. I'm releasing an EP called "Come Back Stronger," and it was kind of coming after a period after I'd, like, been out in a real rut, not really knowing what to do with my life, and I still had this mental block that I'm not quite capable. And I think that, even though it's quite a sad song, I think it was kind of like a breakthrough moment that the song captured, of, like, I've got this feeling of, like, I'm not quite adequate. There's a feeling of guilt, but also coupled with that, there's a feeling of confidence. Mm-hmm. It's kind of hard to bring it all together. I think the only way I could express it clearly is through the song. In terms of influences, there's quite a wide variety, from Nirvana, directly from Nirvana, in terms of the guitar part that I came up with.
Yeah.
And then we actually have Juice WRLD, because that was around time I was really getting into some of the emo trap kind of music, particularly Juice WRLD.
Nice.
And then also there's an artist called Breakins. You might have heard. He's a hyperpop artist.
Oh, I've heard of him.
Yeah, everyone talks about him. I think it's everyone's like favorite artist at the minute, like underground favorite artist. And he kind of inspired me. And I think the production was quite particularly. We went down like quite a Post Malone route, but the song itself, the core of it, kind of sounds like a indie song. It sounds a little bit like the Smiths almost. Like the Smiths, but then also mixed with a bit of grunge, and we also mixed some folk instruments. So I have 3 different guitars that I played on the track. So we had a classical guitar, an acoustic guitar, and an electric. We just kind of let as we always do, and as I always do, my creative process, just let our creativity run free, really.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. You even mentioned how, you had the wide range of influences, like you mentioned, the Smiths, Juice WRLD. That's really cool how you're blending all of those into the tracks. That's really cool.
Thank you, man.
So that was your first single, Diamond in the Rough, and then The Phoenix was after that. And I even noticed, you got some press features over the last year with your singles. You've been featured in magazines like Metal Magazine, Variance, Rolling Stone India, Earmilk. How did you secure those press features?
For sure. So I actually, for the bigger ones, I actually work with, I'm going to shout out to, it's called LPR Agency. So she actually helped me do that. I mean, I have since gained my own contacts, and I do a lot of my own getting my own press. But I think certainly for the bigger ones like Earmilk and Rolling Stone India, it's quite hard to get seen for that. So, I mean, it's not cheap if you're going to invest in a PR company. But I think it's certainly when you're starting out, I think there's some wisdom to it, because no one knows who you are, and I think if your songs are good enough, I mean, no one guarantees you a feature on Rolling Stone or India or whatever. These companies can only submit you because they have their contacts, but I think it gives you a degree of credibility. If people don't know who you are, and also just having those pedigrees are just useful, to put on your bio, or when you're maybe even submitting to Spotify editorial playlists, or, and you know, say if you want to secure a gig, well, you know, you might mention that, you know, I've been featured in this magazine, and it gives you a bit of credibility, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and with networking, it's great. Yeah, yeah, it's great for when you're submitting. You never know what that may open up. The doors may open up. Yeah, and that's cool. It's learning about the press and the publicity that certain artists do, especially independent artists. Are you currently an independent artist?
Absolutely, yeah. I don't have a manager.
Yeah,
I
and that's
do
cool. Yeah.
do the whole thing to myself. Yeah.
No, exactly. Yeah. So talking with other independent artists, how they go about the press and the marketing and securing the press features, it's great to learn and talk about. Because
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I still do it now. I don't always go through a PR company. I think I can't. It's not quite financially viable right now to do that. I can still you know, make contacts. You can do it for free. You don't have to pay. You can if you find the contacts, you know, you can drop them an email. You put your press shot in there, a link to your SoundCloud, but a private link, and then you can even write. You can include your bio about yourself, and then you can also include just about your single, about what inspired it, and also how you might describe it sonically, and pop that in the email and get them out. You don't always guarantee getting feedback or getting used, but it's doable.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So, your opinion, tips and best practices for independent artists just starting out. Do you think they should focus on gaining the contacts and securing press features, or do you think that they should focus on social media content and growing their audience first?
Yeah, I think growing your audience first. I mean, just going from my experience. I mean, yeah, I think because the thing that you can do in tandem with growing your audience is working in your craft. And it's certainly what I did in terms of releasing covers. But, you know, these days, no matter what level you were at, whether you got a manager or not, there's a huge demand on artists to be able to create content. That's just the way it is, whether you like it or not. And you know, you might start off a bit rubbish at that. I know I did, but you do learn things along the way, and you might learn what your style is and what your way of entertaining is and what your way of creating content is. And along the way, like you say, you'll build your skills. And yeah, I think it is definitely important to build an audience because obviously, yeah, you might be putting out tracks and not have anyone to send them to. Although, you know, the act of releasing songs can certainly draw people in.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned whether, I mean, yeah, so they bring that first, and then once you're releasing songs, then you can contact press. But I think the networking comes amongst that, you know. I think from starting out, I think that a big part of it is networking with other musicians. Whether you like it or not, I think in the early stages, people, your average person, I mean, this is my opinion, the average person is maybe less likely to invest in an artist they don't really know. They might go for the bigger artists. So you're actually, a lot of the time, you do rely on other musicians to help support you. So, you know, helping out other musicians, sharing their things, creating those connections is really valuable.
Yeah, no, networking is extremely valuable, especially in the music industry. That's a great point, yeah. And you mentioned how when you were first starting with creating content and then releasing your first songs, you did covers. So that's cool. So would you say releasing and posting covers, it helped you grow and find your audience? Would you recommend that as a first step to
I think so. I think it's a solid way. I mean, you might have your own way of doing of doing content. You know, with TikTok now, there's so many ways that you can really find your own way of doing it. You might be really good at guitar licks, and you could do that. But I think if you're a singer-songwriter, I think you do learn so much by doing covers. And my attitude when I was doing covers, because I was wanting to simultaneously learn and improve, is just, you know, try and raise the bar each time in terms of maybe difficulty. But yeah, also, you know, when you're doing covers, I think I've come to realize it's about doing covers that really suit your voice.
Yeah, and what you love.
What you love, obviously, because yeah, it should not be a chore. It should be enjoyable. But I think it's important to know the strengths and weaknesses of your voice. What kind of styles would you suit? You know, it doesn't mean you're a bad singer if you can't sing a certain style. Just maybe it's not for you. If you find that right song that's right for you, it can work really well. And also
great
making
point,
covers your own is. Sorry, I really waffle. I hope you don't mind. Sorry, it's been a bit one-sided here, but
No,
it's great to share
it's
this
not at all. Not at all.
information. Just from what I've kind of picked up is that. Sorry, I forgot what I was saying now. But yeah, obviously, when you do a cover, you might want to try and make it your own. And something I've been trying to do lately, I'm going to release a cover tomorrow, is like applying some of my production skills to it, and try to do something a bit different with the can you make it slower? Can you make it faster? What can you make it in a different style? Can you, if it's an electric guitar normally, can you make it into an acoustic version? What way can you just shake it up? And I think it's all about entertainment. When I think of social media, like, how can I entertain people? How can I? Yeah.
No, great point. Exactly. Now more than ever, people want authenticity, but they also want to have fun. They want to be entertained. And now short form content has blown up, and you increasingly see content that does extremely well based on the algorithms when it hooks you in the first couple of seconds. That seems to be the defining factor. It's really cool to see how it's involved. But would you say that if you could hook people in the first 3 seconds, that helps a piece of content blow up? You think that's where it's going?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, people's attention spans are so small, but that's just the nature of how these apps work, don't you? And like, you're on TikTok, people flick through. They can tell in an instant whether. So I've heard something like, some people can just like young people, they can look. They've grown up on TikTok or whatever, and they can just tell instantly whether a video is going to be good quality or not.
Yeah.
So if you can have great lighting and the way everything's framed and that first impression looks great, I think that's certainly really important. I mean, something I'm trying to learn. I'm not perfect at it, but
me too. I'm always trying to learn, but it's amazing. One piece of content can change your life and trajectory of your career. And I've been getting back into covers too. Like, I'm realizing I've been trying to create more covers and get back into like the basics of playing guitar or singing. Like, I'm just having fun with covers at home, trying to make content with that, and I'm having so much fun. I'm realizing I haven't done this in a while. I haven't necessarily posted this. This could be a cool new direction my page could go in. And what you mentioned before was a great point. I just remembered it again. Where you were saying when you were first starting with content, well, basically you get to learn your skills as you go along. And it's cool to diversify and see where it goes, because you never know what your skills may be. Like you said, like, get used to entertaining how you may like it. And then you find your strengths and weaknesses. I think that's a great point. Like, being a content creator.
Your niche,
Yeah, exactly. Find your niche. And I noticed with you as well, it's cool. You've posted, your content game has been strong as hell recently, which is really cool to see. You've been diversifying your content. You post music content. You post you in the studio. And you've also been posting these sketches, these comedic sketches.
For sure.
So what inspired you to create these comedic sketches?
Yeah, well, I mean, I have an acting background. I went to drama school, so I suppose it's just normal for me to do performing or different characters or whatever. It's kind of something I've always done. And actually, when I mentioned I got back into my music in 2020, it was actually doing the sketch comedy that came first, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
That's the first kind of commented at content I started putting out there. Sorry, I forgot the question. But yeah, it was back then that I started making it, and I really enjoy it. It's just a fun challenge to create a little social commentary in such a short amount of time, or I love it. Or just be able to play different characters, or the various situations that I've been in my own life, the different people I've met who I think quite amusing, and to be able to like draw from that and put it into, and also feed it into music promotion as well, because it can be feel like you're pestering people sometimes if you're always like listen to this, but if you can do it and entertain them at the same time, you're giving them a reason to stick around, and it just softens the blow a little bit, and
exactly. Sometimes you feel like you're being annoying just trying to constantly post music or the same thing, but that's a great point. If you change it up, or if you're doing stuff and just having fun with it like that, you're switching it up. You're giving some value out, but you're also giving some entertainment, and people may want to stick around. But even one of the ones I recently saw you did, it was really funny. The Brit Award sketch, that was great.
For sure.
It's just, you look like you're just having fun, having a blast, and that's great. That's all that matters. Just having fun. and you're just making content, having fun.
Thank you.
That's great. Yeah. So let's talk about your upcoming EP. You have an 8-track EP coming out in April. Come Back Stronger, right? So let's talk about that EP. What can you tell us about this EP? What is it all about?
Yeah. So as the name suggests, it's about me coming back stronger. It's about my story of having for quite a while. I left drama school, like I said, because I was trained to be an actor, and I then realised that the path that I'd set out to be a professional actor wasn't actually right for me. It just wasn't a fit. I actually have learning difficulties, and I was just finding that I wasn't quite meshing with the job of being an actor in terms of my ability to remember lines, and it just wasn't how I kind of wanted it to be, and my heart just wasn't in it really. But I was just kind of in limbo. I was like, what am I going to do with my life? I want to do something great, but I lost a lot of confidence. I kind of became a bit aimless. I kind of didn't think I was very good at things anymore, because I was kind of struggling in the workplace as well. So I was in a real low point of like kind of learned helplessness almost, because I'd had a few like failures, I suppose. You can sort of teach yourself that, I'm not really capable of anything. It's kind of learned helplessness, but it's actually not true. You just have to try and focus. If for anyone, but I say if they've got learning difficulties, it's just about, there might be things that you struggle with. Yeah, it might be things that you can't really do that well. But if you just focus on the things you can do, there's a whole world of opportunity. And fortunately, I found that again with music and creating comedy and writing songs. And it just so happens that whereas in many aspects of life, in the workplace, I've applied plenty of jobs and I try really hard and I'm not really suited to those. It doesn't really matter because I found this thing that I can do, which is the music, and I feel like I'm made for that. So coming out of that rut is kind of the Comeback Stronger is documenting. It's the story of me coming out of that hole, and it's not all like, oh yeah, great, life's good now. Once you do decide to sort of stop feeling sorry for yourself and try and carry your cross, so to speak, the story on the EP does document some of the challenges that I faced on the way. More things kind of go wrong, and it's how I deal with that. And the EP documents that. But I hope that it can inspire and embolden people that are feeling hopeless and not too confident in themselves. That they can look at maybe what I've done and hopefully seeing me being vulnerable, and it can inspire them.
Yeah, no, that's great. So the 8-track EP is coming out in April. How long did you spend writing this EP? How long were you in the studio? And when did you first start writing this EP?
Well, believe it or not, the two of the songs, which I already released last year, I'd actually written quite a fair few years ago. Even though most of the songs are within this period of like 2 years, which is about Phoenix and Lone Wolf, were actually 4 and 5 years before, but the rest of them have been this last 2 years. For these 8 songs, there've been about 100 of us that haven't been quite up to scratch, but these are the best ones that fully tell the story that I'm trying to tell.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fantastic. That's great to hear. Were you all in the same studio with Come Back Stronger? Did you work with multiple producers or an individual producer?
No, it's just Tingey. So like I say, I create the demo, I compose it as much as I can at home on Logic, and I've got Omnisphere and I've got Splice, and I do my best, but then take it to Tingey. And I wanted to work with the same producer, so it has, even though I do have various genres that I play around with, working with the same producer, I think allows you to have a sound that's identifiable. And I think that's why you see that Lil Nas X has worked with it. They called Take a Day Trip. He's pretty much worked with them.
Oh yeah, start. That production deal. Yeah, he's worked a lot with Take a Day Trip. Yeah, they're on a lot of his songs.
But I think by doing so, he's kind of giving him he's very diverse in terms of the sounds that he uses and what he draws from. But he's got a recognizable sound. I think that comes from working with the same producer.
Yeah.
If you find the right producer, unfortunately, I have.
Yeah, and that's great. But that's a really cool topic. To talk about. Yeah, when you're working with an individual producer or a certain group, you find that camaraderie, and it could just take the music in a whole different direction. Yeah. But that's really cool. So you work with Tingey. He was the main producer you work with for this upcoming project.
Yeah.
And also, I seen you've been posting on your socials. You're planning a release show in Manchester, right? So let's talk about that show.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, I'm super excited for it. I just wanted to make it the best show I can, really, and really bring this EP to life. The cool thing that I want to, if there's any musicians watching, I think maybe a more typical approach is that, I mean, I don't know how it is in the States, but, you might go to a promoter and they'll put on the night, but I'm actually putting on the night myself. And I think the benefit of that is, because I'm hiring the venue, the benefit of that is firstly money, which we don't talk about a lot because we just kind of expect we're just going to completely just like not really earn that much through making music all the time. But obviously, I mean, I'm not going to make tons, but it'll just allow me to cover the costs a little bit more.
Yeah, and that's great. There's nothing wrong with talking about that. Of course.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, obviously, I'm going to pay all the bands that are supporting and my support artists, but at least I'll be able to cover some expenses a little bit more. And also, by putting it on myself, I've got a little bit more creative control in terms of who the bands are that are playing and just how I promote it, because I'm the promoter of it as well, and how I want to do that. Maybe it's not for everyone, but I personally like that I'm doing it this way. And I think it works particularly well for an EP launch. So perhaps not for every gig. It's good to work with promoters for other gigs, but maybe if you're doing an EP launch or an album launch, perhaps think about putting it on yourself.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, numerous bands and artists, some of them have done it in the US. But even like when I was growing up playing shows, my high school band, like I put on a little EP release show when I was 18. We rented out a space as well. It was a studio space. We did the same thing to promote the EP. I agree with you. It's a great idea. Yeah, it's a little more pressure, but it's fun. You get to meet and network with new people, and you get to experiment with the marketing too, which is cool. And that's like a great point I wanted to lead to. As independent artists, sometimes you're wearing a lot more hats than in other careers. You're balancing so much with promoting, marketing, and music creation. So with your career, how do you market your music? You have over 500 monthly listeners on Spotify. You've amassed 100,000 streams on Spotify alone. How did you market your songs?
Yeah, well, it's a process where I feel like I'm continuing to learn and also learn about what your goals are. It's that thing of like, you sometimes, work backwards from what you want. Now, if you want lots of streams, for instance, a lot of the ways that people want to do that is by playlist, and I submitted to playlist, and that was part of the way I did that.
Nice.
But the way I see it is that what I want personally right now is more fans. So, I mean, it's a huge thing of how do you market yourself, but like, because it comes down to your brand and everything. You can attract people to come with ads and what have you, but they're going to want to stay by seeing the whole package. What's your Instagram profile like in terms of, the content that you were there? Is it engaging? Do they like the way your persona and everything that you're about? But like for me personally, I mean, obviously how it goes, but like for this new release, I'm focusing less on playlists. I'm not investing in that side of things. I'm investing in ads, and I've just researched, because I look at quite a few different music marketing advisors, Musformation, Damien Keys, Burstamo. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, those are some channels I've checked out as well. Yeah,
for sure.
Great content.
Yeah. So with this one, I'm like, it might not show as many streams, but hopefully I can get more fans, because I'm doing the ads. But I'm also, I mean, it doesn't work well for every genre, but like with the emo trap, like the rock hip hop thing that I do, there are certain YouTube channels that you can submit to. And I did that last time with Diamond in the Rough. So I actually submitted to Toxic. I mean, they don't always pick you up.
Is that a YouTube channel or a playlisting service? Toxic, it's called?
That's a YouTube channel. I think they maybe have some playlisting things.
Oh, I gotta check it out.
It's a YouTube channel. Yeah. So, I mean, there are a few of us of that genre, Toxic and Trash and Scroll, and they do some great AMVs, animations.
Yeah.
You know, like the anime things, which are really cool. And within they have like communities that are really into this kind of music, you know.
Yeah.
So I actually submitted my Diamond in the Rough on there, and it did really well. I think part of the reason it did really well was because I'm going on a massive tangent here. Part of the reason it did really well. Part of the reason it did well is because there was another guy called Diamond in the Rough who had a song out called Diamond in the Rough at the time, and I think people saw that name, that famous name, and maybe thought, oh, that's a song from that. Either way, it got like 160,000 views, and off the back of that, I got like quite a lot of organic playlists that I'd never even like submitted to. People had just seen it, they liked the song, and they put it on the playlist.
That's amazing.
So you know, I try and think for the long term. Like, stream's good, but you want to get the person to come back, and you 100%. Want to create great content and connect with your audience and entertain the ones you've got. So they stay and that they tell the friends. I'm still working it out, but that's the way I'm seeing things now. You know,
that's how I feel too. Yeah, you want lifelong friends and fans. You want genuine supporters, and once you get that, then the streams can follow. You know,
yeah, for sure.
But marketing, you never know who your music and your content will get in front of, and then they come back for more because they like what you're genuinely doing.
Yeah.
But that's like going into it with that headspace. It sounds great because then you're building the genuine connections. Yeah. So with Toxic, when you submitted to that channel you mentioned, Toxic. So did you just reach out to that channel through DMs or email, or did you do it through a third-party service like Submit Hub?
No, that wasn't Submit Hub. That was, I think, if you go on their about section of their channel, they probably have either a website or an email. I mean, I don't want to misquote this, but they'll have like a website or something you can go on there and submit it, or it may even be an email, depending on the channel. Scroll, Toxic, Biteki, different ones. They might have a channel or they might have a website, and you can just submit it in there.
Yeah.
You know, some are easier to get on than others, and you do have to pay as well.
Yeah,
but I think it's a good. I mean, I know a guy called Sadzilla, and he's a producer, rapper, and he's done really well by doing that. So I'm kind of following try to see what he's doing and copy that in a way.
Yeah, there's new avenues now more than ever. If you're an artist or starting out, now you have YouTube channels and playlists. And you mentioned some channels. Yeah, that's a new way to get your music in front of new people, and you never know who it may strike a chord with.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now there's a new playlist.
Just try to get part of a community. You know, I don't know. It's kind of sometimes hard for me because my music's kind of a bit of everything. It's just like, where does my music fit? But if you can find whatever your sound is and what your genre is, and try and get part of that community, and there'll be Instagram accounts that are maybe, for instance, say if you make hyperpop music. I mean, I'm going to shout out Hyperpop Daily, you know, and on that, you'll have a community of people there that are really into that music, you know, and you can connect with those people. Or, I don't know, they might be like people that are really into death metal, you know, and you just get within that community. I'm actually, another thing, I'm actually on a shout out to the emo trap group on Facebook. There's actually a Facebook group for people who make, I mean, emo trap and everything in between, really.
Yeah.
And that has been a good way to sort of network with people.
Yeah.
So if you can find a Facebook group as well, that might be a good idea.
Yeah, it's another great point.
You're in. Yeah.
It's hard, because when you're creating, like, I feel some of the music I've been interested in making and songs I've released so far, it's inspired by rock and hip hop and pop, and I'm inspired by so many genres. I grew up with rock and also loved, classic rock, alternative rock, hip hop, pop, some electronic, and it's great to let all those influences come out, but then also sometimes it's a little harder to market if you have, let's say, a hybrid genre. Yeah. But when you have, let's say, more of a niche genre, it may be a little easier to get in front of a certain audience.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I've got a friend who's a brilliant artist, a prog rock artist. I think that's really niche, like, we're the fans for that, but I suppose at least he knows exactly what he is, what he does, and where to market it. But I think it might take a bit long. But I mean, I'm not in this game to compromise on the art that I make.
Yeah, exactly. Same. It's just for the love of it. It's for fun. And
Exactly.
now more than ever with the internet and with like we met through the internet. Now we're talking, we're broadcasting this. It's now more than ever. There's so many ways that you can network and get your content and music in front of new people that haven't been around for long. And that's the exciting part to me. It's like there is no right way. There is no necessary blueprint. It's so cool. It's always evolving and you never know what may happen. Yeah. So the new EP is coming out in April. You have the show coming up. What else do you have planned for 2022? What else?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think ahead. Obviously, something a good friend advised me before I started releasing music is it's like you have a release pool, because you don't want to release a song and then everyone's like, I love that, I want something else. You got to have something else ready. So I'm trying to think ahead of the EP. Yeah. So I've actually recorded one of my favorite songs I've ever done. I don't want to give too much away about it, but it's like hopefully it's going to be quite a big summer anthem. I'm really pleased with it. And that really it really mixes hip hop. I'm really rapping more than any other song. I rap a bit on this latest single, but it's a bit of rapping and rock together. I'm really excited for that one. I'll probably have a music video for that. I don't know, like I just love making music videos. I think potentially really effective and I feel like when I've got a single that's good enough, I've just got to do a music video. So I'm going to try and probably do a music video for that, and then record the other songs that I've written as well, so then I can release further singles throughout the year. And I think for the other singles, like they really are going to other avenues musically that I haven't touched yet. Like believe it or not, country, but then also like mixed with trap and pop.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, country's not nearly as popular in the UK as it obviously is in America. And I've been getting into that lately. That's a bit of a stigma in England, I think.
Oh, really?
Not everyone's the hardcore fans, but unfortunately, it has a bit of a stigma. I think it's a great genre. I think it's really underrated. But it's influenced partly by country music. So then I got another song that's like partly dancehall music. I love dancehall music.
Nice.
And it's got a bit of a dancehall influence. So yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. More live shows besides this release show in April. Do you have any tour dates lined up for the year? Any more shows?
Not as of yet, to be honest with you, but I'm in a process now of just applying, because I've been focusing on other things. But like the process now, I'm in applying for festivals in the summer, and also speaking to promoters. But really, I'm trying to. That's the other thing I'm doing with this EP launch. I'm not. It's not going to be me and guitar. I'm going to have a live band, and we're going to be not only playing our instruments live, but having the production as well. So I'm going to work everything out for this EP launch, and hopefully for the rest of the year we can do more shows as a unit. Yeah,
that sounds awesome. It sounds really exciting. What advice do you have to independent musicians just starting out?
I think learning your craft through covers, if you're just starting out, is the best way, because I think that's got and just writing as many songs as you can, and you will really learn by doing it. There's no right or wrong way to do it. You'll learn what works, and I think a good piece of advice for songwriting, because I used to back in the day just write just me on my guitar, but even if you're not a producer, if you can get the equipment to record yourself, I think it's really important. If you're just starting out, you don't have anything, invest in a interface, invest in a mic, invest in a DAW such as Logic. I think if you're a vocalist, I think Logic is a good one. But I mean, other people are like Ableton. To me, Logic's a good one. And start writing stuff and putting it into there and listening back. It's important to listen back to your music. And yeah, just keep writing. And then keep pushing yourself to listen to as many different types of music you can, and just maybe take singing lessons to improve your voice as well. Or if you don't want to do that, you can always look at videos online just to learn techniques. I think I mean, plenty of musicians don't do this, which is like Liam Gallagher for Oasis. But I think if you're a singer, get a vocal warm-up routine is really important. Not only for the health of your vocals, but like I know I sound a whole lot better after I've warmed up my voice.
Yeah, no, I've started doing a vocal warm-up. I started lessons again recently, and it just feels great. Yeah, just because it's like you need to keep your voice in shape, and
absolutely,
it pushes the boundaries of it. Yeah, like it feels great to be doing that again. I feel stronger with it. It feels more comfortable, less strain. Yeah, that's helped me. It's changed my routine tremendously. Yeah, it's cool.
Absolutely.
But that's great advice. Yeah, that's all great advice to musicians just starting out. Besides that, what else can you share with us? What are your biggest aspirations with music? What do you hope to accomplish with your music career?
Oh man, I'd love if we talking dream, I'd love a #1 album in the UK. That's probably the pinnacle, probably for a musician. I mean, if you look at someone like, have you heard of Sam Fender? I don't know if he's broke America. But
Sam Fender, yeah.
Yeah.
What was his record name?
America.
No, I've heard of him. Semisonic Missiles.
17 Going Under. Yeah.
Or something.
I find it really cool that because he's an artist from the north.
Okay.
And it's really cool when artists like that break in America.
No, I've heard of him on the radio. I heard a couple of his singles on Sirius XM, I believe, on like Alt Nation or 92.3. Yeah.
So I think to achieve the quality of art that he's done and the following that he's got, and then to be able to do some live shows that he's got, that he'd be a good blueprint, I think, something like that. And just to have music that's just really will just stick with people for the rest of their lives, I think, and have a lasting impression, and just continue to improve. And
do you like creating music in the studio more or playing live? Which one do you like more? Or do you love both equally?
I mean, there's creating when I'm at home doing the songwriting side of things, and there's creating studio. But I don't know. I'd probably say creating the studio, if I'm honest. I don't know. Nice. I absolutely love it. It's, I mean, I love playing live. Don't get me wrong. I think the connection you can have to the audience and that thrill of performing, and there's still a degree of unpredictability there. But I think there's more unpredictability, which kind of I get off on when you're writing a song, because or in the studio, where especially with me and Tingey, we like trying out different things and we don't know, we've got it so far, but then just to see how it evolves, that is so satisfying. And then playing it back at the end of the day when we've finished with it, and that is so satisfying. I feel like with regards to live shows, I can't comment as much yet because I feel like I've done a lot of just me acoustic guitar. I haven't really done the pinnacle of live performing, which I think when I'm with my band and my production's playing, I've got all my audience there. So when I've done that, I'll have to come back to you and say, well, actually, no, I prefer this more. Because I think
there's no right or wrong answer.
To come.
There's no right or wrong answer. It's just cool to hear from other musicians. I need to get back into live performing.
What about for you? Do you have a preference?
Currently, I guess where I'm at right now, I'm just trying to continue evolving as a songwriter and producer and build an audience. I haven't played in so long, so I don't know. I mean, that's an amazing feeling playing. But I guess right now, I would just say the studio, because I'm just trying to be in the studio as much as possible and just to keep writing and evolving as a songwriter. But once I play again, who knows how I'll feel, like you said. Maybe it's like the feeling you get from performing, that rush, who knows. I may have to come back to you too and like give you the answer as well. Yeah. But no, that's awesome. So where can we find you on socials? Let us know what you want to promote, what channels. What are your social media handles?
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
So on Instagram, it's Scott_Magnus_. Obviously on Spotify, it's Scott Magnus. YouTube, Scott Magnus. And I think that's probably about it. TikTok is Scott Magnus Music. And if you want a variety of comedy content, but also music content, and that's the place to go.
Yeah, that's awesome. Any final thoughts? What else do you want to let the audience know before we wrap it up?
Yeah, man. Well, I want to say, in keeping with the message of my EP, if you're feeling hopeless right now, and that is, you don't think maybe you have much value, or you don't think your future looks that bright, just like, you never know what's around the corner, and if you just try many different things, if you feel like you can't do anything, just try it. You haven't tried everything, there's always hope. Just focus on what you can do, because that's where the potential is. And I was just playing video games like 3 years ago, not doing much of my life. I was in a rut, and now, just by taking a chance and just dedicating myself to my passion and my purpose, like, the brilliant things such as this interview have happened for me, and that could be the same for you. I'm no different to you, and it could be the same for you. So I wish, hopefully that might inspire people. I don't know.
It's a great message, yeah. And I noticed what you have in your Instagram bio, which is great, for the underdogs to beat the odds.
Yeah, man. Well, do you like that? I don't know.
That's great.
Do you like that?
No, that's great. That's great. What was it? What's that? I resonate with that as well. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, good. Well,
Awesome.
I'm glad. I didn't know how that would come across. That was just something in my head, because I was trying to kind of just capture my message. But I'm glad that you think that resonates with you. Anyway, I appreciate that.
No problem.
Thank you.
Well, Scott, thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. No, your questions have been brilliant, and you've listened to me rambling on.
No, you weren't.
I really appreciate it, and the opportunity to chat to you. It's been great, and and also it's been great. And I wish you the best of luck with this. I think it's great what you're doing, and thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Thank you. No, thank you. I appreciate it, and I'm excited for the EP. Make sure to check out Scott on all of his social media handles. We'll put some of the information in the bio once this is out. Check out his music and content. And to everyone who's tuned in, thank you so much for checking out another episode of Miltrick Media. I'm your host, Miltrick. Scott Magnus, thank you for coming on. And we will see you all soon.